Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Ivan Mihaljevic. Was I close?
Yeah, pretty close.
Of Stone Leaders to the program tonight. Guitarist for this fantastic new group stood out. I've heard the album, Ivan. It's fantastic.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, I wanted to do this interview a little differently than some I've done in the past, and I'm hoping you'll kind of roll with me here. Let's pretend it's the old days where they have music stores over here in the United States still. I mean, they still have some, but not as many. And I'm going to look for a CD to play, and I get down to the S's, because I always gravitated to the S's anyway, because you had, like, Scorpions, Saxon, Savatage, Michael Schenker Group, you know? And I come across this CD I've never seen before by this group called Stone Leaders. And I pick it up, and I'm like, this is cool, Stone Leaders. Let's talk about that first. Where did the name Stone Leaders come from?
Well, when we started writing songs, John and I were throwing around some names, and it was, we had a bunch of ideas, and this one was John's idea. It came from, I think he was in Rome when he came up with the name, looking at statues of, like, Roman emperors.
Okay.
So, yeah, they're stone statues, so they're basically stone leaders.
Right.
And it sounds very cool, and it's unique, so I loved it, so we went with it.
The other thing I liked, in addition to the name, was the way you had your logo done. Did somebody in the band do the logo for you, or was that outsourced?
No, it's a pro designer from Croatia. His name is Robert Butkovic.
Okay.
So, yeah, we hired him to do the front cover and the logo.
Very cool. That's the other thing I immediately noticed is the front cover. This picture of it, you know, now that you've told me the story of the Stone Leaders, I can see the statues. There's a gentleman sitting there holding an alligator, though. Tell me a little bit about that.
Oh, well, I actually forgot the story because John had this elaborate story. He's much more into the visual art field than I am. And he had this whole story about a soldier and the angel of death and alligator, and I don't know, but it was pretty complex, and I managed to forget the story behind the cover.
Okay.
But it just looks cool.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm holding the CD in my hand. I see Stone Leaders. I like the name. I love the cover. I'm looking at the songs and everything, so I decide to buy it. I take it home. I unwrap it, and now I've played it. And I got to tell you, Ivan, this album took me, this was like a road trip on a road you've never been on. You don't know what's coming around the next corner, but everything is just really, really cool. As you're listening to it, you're going through dips and turns and up hills, and you're seeing views and vistas and mountains and streams. Incredible imagery between the words and the music of this album.
Thanks. That sounds good. I like the description. I'm going to steal it.
Go for it.
Use it to describe it. Yeah. Thanks.
That's the only way. This was a whole experience of sights and sounds and smells and textures, and it was just an all-body encompassing thing, you know? So I could ask you about every song on this album, but let's talk about the band a little bit first. You and John met at a drum symposium or something?
Yeah, he had a drum clinic here in Zagreb, and so we've got a mutual friend. It's Mysteria, keyboard player from Italy, played Bruce Dickinson, and great keyboard player, by the way.
Yeah.
So anyway, he was organizing John's clinic here in Zagreb, and John wanted to jam a bit with some local musicians at the clinic. So my friend Mysteria called me up and asked if I'd be interested in playing with John Macaluso, and I've been a fan of John's projects and John's playing for a while before that. So I've heard stuff he's done with Ark and with Malmsteen and stuff like that, and I loved the idea. So I, of course, said yes, and that's where we met. And John was actually blown away at the sound check for that clinic. And afterwards, after the clinic, we went and had a dinner. And he said that we must meet tomorrow and talk. So we met for lunch the next day, and he was like, you know what, we should form a band and do an album. So, yeah, that's pretty much how it happened.
Now, did Marco go to the clinic with you too, the bass player?
Yeah. So it was Mysteria, the keyboard player, who in the end didn't end up doing the album with us,
right.
but he was also playing with us at the clinic. Marco, myself, and John.
And you guys did Burn. You were together for about 10, 15 minutes, and you threw together Burn and just burned the place down, from what I heard.
Yeah.
Wow, great one. So then you got together to start putting the album together. When did you bring Dino in on keys and vocals?
Pretty late, actually. So I did all the demos with John, so we wrote all the songs together. And then we started recording everything, and we did first the drum tracks, the bass guitars, and I did all the vocals. And we were actually looking for a keyboard player for the band. And we tried out several guys, and then I've known Dino for a long time as well. So I remembered him because he's also a great keyboard player. So he auditioned, and his ideas were great. So once we got him into the band, I was like, we can't, because he's one of the best rock singers that I've ever heard. We can't just have him play keyboards. He's got to sing. Because it made the whole thing, even better.
Yeah.
So he redid some of the vocals that I did. In the end, we split the lead vocals, like I'd say about 60 to 40%. Him doing the 60% thing.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I looked him up on YouTube and saw some of the cover versions he was doing. His cover of Black Sabbath's Die Young just completely blew me away.
Yeah.
He's just amazing.
He's amazing.
Yeah. Now, so then you got together and you recorded everything at your studio, the Attic Room, right?
Yeah.
And did you guys do...
Actually in the basement.
Okay. And in addition to recording it all, did you guys produce everything yourselves as well?
Yeah. It was John and me producing. I was basically engineering everything, so I mixed it and did all the engineering. But John was there with me when we mixed to give creative input on how he would like things to sound.
Yeah. I understand he lays down the drum track first, and then you build up from that.
Yeah, that's how we wrote the songs initially. So, and it was also a very interesting way for me to work because I've never done that before. He's done that with Arc before, but so we started after the clinic. We were talking about doing the album for a while, and I started sending him some guitar ideas, some riffs and stuff like that, and he was like, yeah, that's cool, but I'm gonna do the drums first. So he sent me a bunch of drum demos, and I've never worked that way before, so I have to say I was a little afraid of how that's gonna turn out.
Yeah.
But it was like, I'm gonna try it and see what comes out. And it was actually a great experience because, his drum parts are very non-standard, very creative, and it actually inspired me to come up with some things, melody and harmony-wise and guitar parts-wise, that I wouldn't have come up with otherwise. So it was very interesting, yeah.
And you brought up the same point that I was going to make with his drums and the way he drums and everything. That was the one thing that really jumped out at me on this album first and foremost, I'm a guitar freak. I don't play, but I appreciate anybody that can immensely. The guitars, of course, were fantastic. But what really caught my ear so many times was the interplay between the drums and the keys. The way his timing patterns went and the way the keys came in and stuff. It was almost jazzy at times to my ear,
Yeah.
Very, very, very cool stuff.
And actually, in the end, the keyboards. So initially, we got Dino in as a keyboard player, but in the end, I think I did like 70% of the keyboards on the actual album.
Okay, I was going to say that. So you did most of the keys.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So it ended up me doing most of the keys and Dino doing like a bigger part of the vocals.
Yeah. Like I said, it's just really, really good stuff. Just amazing, amazing music. You've got a video out. You just put it out, a lyric video for Box of Time. Do you have any other tracks that you're thinking about doing videos for?
I don't know. I think it's also up to our record label what they will decide to do. I don't think we plan to record a band video or something like that because we're in 2 different countries.
Yeah.
So, but hopefully another lyric video will be out soon.
I wrote down a few notes on some of the songs as I was listening. I literally could probably ask you a question about each song, but I just, I picked out a few.
I'll be able to answer.
Blind Crusade, when you solo on that song, what I hear in the beginning of the solo is sort of a Satriani vibe, and then towards the end you slip into a little bit of an Yngwie sort of vibe. Just fantastic stuff. Are those players you listen to? How do you come up with your solos like that? Is it all one piece that you play, or do you piece together separate ones?
Sorry, what was the last thing you said? I didn't catch it.
When you do a solo, do you just play it all through at once, or do you play a couple different ones and take pieces of them and piece them together?
It depends. Sometimes I do it one way, sometimes I do it the other way. I think for this album, I came up with most of the solos when I was doing the demos, and then I just learned them and did that again when I was recording the actual album. But also some parts were improvised on the spot, and if it happens that one take sounds magical, then I'll use that take. If it doesn't happen, then I'll do as many takes as needed and choose different parts and piece them together. So
cool.
Yeah, but those players you mentioned have definitely had a lot of influence on me. So a good ear there.
Excellent, thank you. I love it when I can pick up on that. The next tune is Shot by Laws. I loved the cadence of the vocals on the verse. The way it was sung. I thought that was very, very cool. Sounded like it'd be kind of tough to do, though.
I don't know. Why do you think it's tough?
The rhythm of the words just sounds like, for somebody who's just listening, sounds like it would be kind of hard to be able to pronunciate in that type of rhythm. I really liked that cadence.
Okay, cool. Thank you. It's there's like a lot of effects. The idea was to get it sounding a bit robotic in a way.
And then you have a middle section where you've got a whole bunch of little snippets of sounds and voices and talking. It sounds like a cross between like a Pink Floyd and a Rush song, maybe, very, very cool.
In different languages.
Yeah.
It's like news reporters from all over the world. That's kind of the idea. But so we've had a couple of friends recording different news clips in English, Italian, and Croatian.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Very cool. Toxic Guide, I loved the ending solo, the way the song ends going with the
Oh.
guitar solo out.
That's one of my favorites as well.
Very, very cool. Very cool. Love that one. Heartless Stereo. I'm trying to read my own writing here. Heartless
Yeah.
Stereo opens up with sort of an Iron Maiden type galloping riff, but then goes completely off on its own. You know, after that initial opening riff, it totally goes off on its own tangent. But I thought that was a really, really cool. Can you tell me a little bit about Heartless Stereo?
Yeah. That's actually, I think, it's the only song that we've actually, John and I worked on, like, together in the same room with him on the drum set. We've also did some work on some songs, like fine-tuning some stuff together. I think Gravity was one of them, where he was in the room with me while I was writing it. But Heartless Stereo, I was actually staying at his place near Rome. And yeah, we were jamming in his practice room and writing that song. So, yeah.
Very cool. And the last one I got, like I said, I could ask about every song, but I didn't, Electric City. I loved how on the verse you had just the keys, the drums, and the bass in there. It's busy, but it's sparse at the same time. It kind of gives the listener a little bit of a chance to breathe, but there's still a lot going on there. And I thought the interplay between everything there was just fantastic.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah, that's also one of my favorite tracks, I think.
Yeah, very, very cool stuff.
I like my guitar parts there as well. So there is actually a guitar part in the verse.
Right, you could hear that underneath too. That was very, very cool. It's very deceptively in there below everything else. But yeah, very cool. Did you guys pay attention to sequencing the album? Was that important to you as well? How the songs went together?
Yeah. That's, again, John was, we were discussing it together, but it was mostly John's ideas on how it should flow. And I think we've changed the sequence of songs like 5 or 6 times before coming to the final sequence as it is on the album now.
Awesome. I love the way it flows. Great stuff. Let's talk about you for a couple minutes. I understand you started playing guitar at around the age of 14?
Yeah, that's true.
Had you done any type of musical stuff before that, or just sort of the light bulb went off at that age?
Not really. I mean, I've listened to a lot of music, and I've imagined myself on stage and playing guitar and singing and stuff like that, but I haven't had any real training or musical experience before that. So it was actually a friend of mine decided that he's going to start learning to play guitar in a school here in Zagreb, and to me that was the trigger. I said I want to do it too. So yeah, and from that point on, nothing could stop me, because I was sort of fantasizing about picking up the guitar and learning to play it for a while before that, but kind of lacked that initial impulse. But as soon as he said that he's gonna do it, I was like, I'm definitely gonna do that.
Once you started, was it something that came easy to you, or did you have to put a lot of work into it?
Well, I mean, it's always difficult when you start, but it was something that I found such an immersive experience. I just couldn't leave that guitar alone. So it wasn't difficult. It took work to get good at it, of course, but it wasn't.
But it didn't feel like you were working.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
So.
Love your job and you never work a day in your life, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't a decision that I'm gonna practice and work really hard on it. It's just that I couldn't stop.
Very cool. Labor of love.
Yeah.
And you played Vakken at age 19 with Hard Time?
Yeah.
How was that experience like?
It was great. So basically, their guitar player at the time couldn't. He had some other obligations. I don't know what it was anymore. But they called me up 2 weeks before the show and asked me. I was recommended to them, and asked me if I could learn their whole repertoire and go play fucking open air with them. So, needless to say, I was, felt very happy about it and learned all the songs in 2 days.
Nice.
We had a couple rehearsals and we did it, and it was really cool.
Excellent. That's very, very cool. And then I understand you also got to play with Les Paul?
Yeah. So that was in 2008. I was recording an album helping a friend from Connecticut write his guitar instrumental album.
Mm.
And he knew Les Paul, so we went to see Les Paul's show at the Iridium Jazz Club one evening. And when we got there, I started talking to Les. And he asked me if I'd like to join him on stage and play something. So we ended up playing How High the Moon.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's amazing.
It was a cool experience.
Yeah, I can imagine. If you don't mind me asking, who was your friend in Connecticut you were helping with an album?
His name is John Denner. I don't know if you know him, but...
I think I've heard the name. I know a couple of guitarists from Connecticut. He might be one of them. The other one's name was Chris Bickley. He's really, really good, too, from down there. So,
okay, cool.
Talking with, I'm going to give this last name another shot, Ivan Mihaljevic. Close enough.
Close enough.
Guitar player for Stone Leaders album. Now, this album just came out all over the world, but is it available in the States yet? It's not coming out till May over here, correct?
Yeah, it's, so I don't really know what happened. So Dave sent me an email saying that, Dave from our record label,
sure,
that there's been a holdup at the, oh God, I can't remember the word, at the border.
Okay.
Yeah, and at the customs.
Okay, yep.
I was searching for it. And that it won't be available until May in the U.S. But I guess it's available on all the digital platforms still, so...
Right, you can watch it, do it on Spotify or YouTube probably.
Yeah, Spotify, Apple Music.
iTunes, yeah. And all that
Google
stuff.
Play Music, and yeah.
Cool. I mean, like I said, this was just such a I put it on and I didn't really know what I was expecting, when I put it on, but what I heard just completely blew me away, and it was such a great travel journey through this album that took me through each of the songs. It's 13 songs, almost 70 minutes, and it does not feel long at all. It's like one of those rides you never want to end, that's for sure. Ivan, I always like to end my interview with just some fun questions. Hopefully these are questions you've never been asked. Sound good?
Yeah, sure.
Let's see. What is your current cell phone ringtone?
Oh, it's actually like I didn't customize it.
Okay, so you just got the
It's
standard
one my
ring.
phone came with.
Okay.
It's the top one from my phone. That's fun.
If you could blink and appear anywhere in the world, where would you like to go?
I don't know. I mean, there are many places I'd like to visit, but right now, I'm fine with sitting in my couch.
Sounds good. If you're comfortable, stick with it. Is there something you've always wanted to learn but never have?
I guess there's so much stuff. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to be able to play the piano better, but there's so many other things that I'm doing that it's, yeah.
All right.
There's not time for that. And, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll feed you a couple of easy ones here. Household chores, dishes or laundry? Which would you rather do?
Oh, God. I don't know. I do dishes more often, but maybe laundry.
Okay. Late at night and you're hungry, what do you grab for a midnight snack?
I don't know, a banana.
Okay. Favorite toy growing up as a child?
Batman.
All right.
I had an action figure of Batman.
Nice. This is last one, and this is usually the one we have the most fun with. If they were to make a movie of your life, what actor would you have to pick you in the movie? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Huh. I don't know. Somebody good looking.
All guys say that, like Brad Pitt, or somebody like that.
Yeah. What? Oh God. I don't know.
All right, we'll go with somebody good looking. That can leave it wide open. All right. Yvonne, thank you very much for taking the time to chat with me tonight here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hull. We're talking with Yvonne, guitar player for Stone Leaders, a fantastic band, sort of from everywhere. You're from Croatia, Italy, the States, all over the place, sort of a mixed breed here.
Yeah. I mean, John is from the United States, but he currently lives in Italy.
Okay.
Because, he married there.
Excellent. Album's available on the digital platforms to listen to now. I highly recommend buying it so you can look at that cover and everything when it comes out here in the States. If you're listening anywhere else in the world, you can pretty much get it at all the usual stops. And wish you much luck and success in the future. Last question, any plans to tour?
Well, not yet. I hope it will happen at some point, but all our schedules are very hectic.
Yeah.
Like, John's the busy guy with different projects of his, and so is Dino.
Yeah.
And also Marco is currently playing bass in, like, the biggest Croatian rock band. So, yeah,
Very cool.
it's difficult.
Well, until that happens, we'll just sit back and enjoy the album because it is, like I said, it is a fantastic album.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Take care, Yvonne. Hopefully we'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah, would love to.
Bye-bye.
Bye.